utilize for acreage reports. And then later on this year, we'll use the same information from a combine to create production reports if they want us to do so. So how do we upload data into EasyWriter Pro? When we're done, we'll talk about that, because once we get into Portal, we assume that it goes into EasyWriter Pro, into the mapping program, and helps us set up map acreage reports from there. And then we'll discuss printing documents when we get to that part of the program. This is an open discussion. If you have any questions at any time, hold your hand up or send me a chat. We'll get you answered as best we can. Transfer from data from the insured to the NAU country. We have been doing that for several years now, and the predominant way has been from the past that we had uploaded from the flash drive, either from the insured themselves or through their agency, wherever that information could be uploaded into Portal. And we assisted with a lot of that information coming into NAU country. We have been more focused on cloud data. There's several different companies out there that work with the monitor information. They store it for the insureds. They provide the information to those that need the information to share. Of course, we want that information again for our acreage reports that we are intending to design for the insured. Our major data processing software right at the moment is My John Deere, Climate, Ag Leader, but there are others available, and the upload process is similar to each one of those as we go through it. So what is the definition of precision farming and what technology is required? I'll cover that here just shortly, but a lot of people say, yes, I know what precision farming is, but where does it come from? And so in order to do a full explanation of precision farming turned into acreage reports, we need to make an understanding of what we're looking for from the insured in order for us to set up an acreage report that is accurate and precise. Advantages of precision farming data, we always talk about that with our agents and our insureds. Efficiencies, if the information comes to us in a nice set of data, it's very quickly turned around in an acreage report and with accurate information. The time savings for not only the insured, but for the agency that's working with the process. And for underwriters, the information comes into the mapping program, goes into the acreage reports, and we just review to make sure that it looks probable. And if not, then we'll have to ask some questions to either the agent or to the insured. Accuracy is one of the big things on precision farming. And as we go through this from year to year, the accuracy is getting better and better each year. And so I get excited when I think about what's coming up this next year with precision farming and the ability to bring their information in and get them a set of acreage reports that give them exact information. Then one of the things that has been a predominant reason in central Nebraska when we started using this is faster claim service. The acreage report based off precision farming supersedes any FSA information or any other hired measurement service, as long as the insured says, yes, this is my data, and these are the acres that I farm. And so with the acreage report, with a production report, and with the calibration report, we can settle claims quickly, easily, and it works out fine. Another thing that we are interested in is hard record retention. Once we have it into Farmers Portal, then we don't have to worry about asking the insured again 2 years down the road. Oh, can I have your planning information from 2021? When we already have it in the system and we can just pull it up and take a look at it. So hard record retention has been a very positive thing for us. So what are we looking for in precision farming when we take a look at the maps that we get from the planner? We're looking at the variability between or within the fields of plant populations. The plant populations may help us determine or set up our unit structure for each field or for each farm. And so one of the things we look at very closely when we get our information in place is what is the plant population and what's that population change indicating to us that we need to know. What equipment is used for precision farming? We have the global positioning systems, which are mounted on top of most tractors. When we take a look at that, it's a globe that sits on top of the tractor that can communicate with the clouds and then stores the information for us on the geographical information systems, which a lot of the insureds have their laptops or some type of recording system inside the tractor cab with them when they're using precision farming. The accuracy, again, we're looking for accuracy. We want to verify that it looks good to us for claims or for review information. Is it considered accurate, consistent? Is it verifiable for the crop insurance records? And that's the reason we have the mapping system that we have, is so we can verify the information we get from the planters with the insured so that they can say, yes, I agree with that, or no, I don't agree with that, and we need to make some changes. And so that's the important part of planning. The acreage reporting system that we have in place, we create an acreage report from the planning information we get. And again, it's considered reliable, consistent, and what we'll utilize in the event of claims or in the event of a review. Efficiencies. When we're doing acreage reporting from the planter, within a couple of movements in the system, we can have an acreage report that displays all the information the planter gave to us for the insured to say, yes, this is my acreage report and I approve of it, or here's a couple of changes we need to look at, and then we can go on with the system. It gives them the chance to send the information to us or from the agency at any time of the day. And again, faster claim settlement. We're looking for that information so that we can again go out and pay the claim. The only reason I'm mentioning a calibration report at this time is so that we all know the calibration report is for the combine. It's not for the planter. I have several calls every year saying, what is the calibration report on the planter? There are none that we're aware of, but RMA does not require a planter calibration report, so we're good to go there. So when I look at a map that comes from Precision Farming and I get it into the system, we're looking at plant populations that vary between different parts of the field or different areas that may constitute a unit structure. If I plant a rate from 36,000 drop to 14,000 seed in the non-irrigated corners, that indicates that we have a non-irrigated corner on a pivot. That is considered a discernible break. We do not have to go out there, swath mow, disc shred, or create a boundary between the irrigated and non-irrigated, because the planter has done that for us. And therefore, the insureds are very pleased with the fact that I give you my plant populations that creates my unit structure for us, and we don't have to go out there and manage those discernible breaks that we've had to do in the past. So what do we look at when we look at planting? We have a planter. I'm not particularly trying to promote any variety of planter or tractors, but what we have here is a 48-row planter that has a turn on, turn off on each row, that it can turn the planter on or it can turn the row off. And the idea is it will never double plant in the field and cause us some overlaps or some shape files that we need to take a look at. Once the area of the field is planted, it should not receive any more seed throughout the day. The information inside the tractor is stored either on an iPad or iPhone or whichever system they're utilizing, and it goes to the cloud from that system there. So an insured can verify what he's doing while he's going through the fields. And it's just part of the system that we talk about, the monitor system, when we look at planning. So our goal today will be to set up acreage reports and call them good acreage reports for lot settlement or for policy review. And so we're interested in that. I want to take a look at it. We, of course, when we look at claims, we discuss about going from planting then into harvest, but harvest will be at a different presentation. So we're just focusing on planting today and what advantages it has for us. In order to upload information into our system, we have to go to the NAU website and log in. And when we log into the website, we're going to come up to our mass of places that we can key into or move to in our presentation into our system. We're going to take a look at the Precision Farming tab because that's what we're here for today. I click on the Precision Farming tab, and if I'm in an agency and we've signed into farming, it'll give me my that I have for my agency, and then we'll have to find the insured that we want to utilize for precision farming. So in order to do that, we're going to upload information from the file. And when we do that, we're going to ask it, it's going to ask us, where do you want to find that information? First of all, we got to find out who the insured is. And in this example, it's a precision farmer is what I called the policy. And so I put in the farmer for the last name and I do a search for that information. And there's my precision farmer policy that we're going to bring information in for. Since this is the one we want to use, I'll click on the plus sign. And when I do that, it's going to ask us to go on through the system. And we can do that by doing a continue. This comes to a point where we have to make a decision. Are we going to use a flash drive, which is indicated here by this open my file, look at my computer, see if I can find the flash drive, or are we going to use the cloud import? And if we're going to use that one, it'll give us some options that we don't have that we would have that we wouldn't see with this. My first example is going to be utilizing a flash drive that the insured brings into your agency and wants us to upload it into the system. When I click on that, it's going to open up an area in the computer that I have where I stored my flash drive for my farmer. I can take a look at the information. This information we receive has to be in zip file format. We have some information out there in our tips and tricks on how to create zip files if you have any questions about that. But we have a zip file that we're going to utilize for our system today. And so I'm going to click on open there. And when I do that, it starts processing the information into the system. This will take a little bit of time because we're bringing those files from the flash drive into Agent's portal. And some of the files have started to get larger and larger because of more fields or more counts in the field or whatever the process is. And so we wait until that's filled up in there, and then it'll ask us to submit. What are we submitting? We're submitting the zip file that we have brought in from the flash drive. And so we have it in place to go. We may want to put something in here that says planting data for corn, soybeans for 2021, whatever information that you want the precision team to know, that's what we need to put in there. And then we submit the policy for the acreage reporting. As we get done, we see that we have a policy. I'm the one that brought it into the system. It's ready for us to use, and so we can go from there. I'm going to back up to cloud import now so you can see how we do that one also. And the cloud import now is working very well for us. We made some changes with climate this spring that we're getting information from them now through the cloud import. And so I use that as an example on who do we bring the information from. On my cloud import, I clicked on that and it's going to bring me up some different things that we need to know. I need to add a connection. What we want it to say when we add our connection is that it will respond We put a clarification in here that it may take some time for us to initially bring in the information, especially from third-party clouds. But as of now, and depends on the number of uploads we have at one time, the system's working very well for us, and it's not taking a lot of time to bring the information in, but be aware that there could be some time constraints on when we're importing information from the cloud and getting it ready. I'm going to add a connection to this system here. I'm going to use crop year of 2020 so that when I bring that in, I'll know what I'm bringing into the system. When I click on next, I get select your equipment manufacturer from the drop down and then click the next button. So I click on the drop down box. These are the three that we have set up in there for the upload into our system at this current time. I'm going to utilize the climate because that's what we're looking to do. Click on climate and then says next. And when I do that, it takes me automatically to FieldView's login. So if I'm going to utilize this information for the insured, he has to give us our username and password for his FieldView account, or we need to get him set up in Farmer's Portal so he can do this on his own and bring it into our system from FieldView. But they are very insistent that the insured gives the information to us to bring into the system, and so we're going to ask for username password from anyone to set up the site into their FieldView program so that we can continue on with the process. Once I get logged in, it's going to let us know that the website has some things that they're allowing us to do, and that's to bring the information from planting or from harvesting into our system in order to create reports for crop insurance. I'm going to click on allow as if I'm the insured or the agent, and it says success. We've set up a connection with FieldView. And if I wanted to do a John Deere connection, I could do that too. A lot of our insureds have information in two different places. It may be in My John Deere, it may be in Climate FieldView, or it may be in Agfinity, which is Ag Leader. So it gives us a chance to start another connection here, or we'll just go ahead and say we have a FieldView connection. When we take a look at it now, I down here now have the crop year 2020. I have the name of the operation, the Home 40. It's planning for 2020, and there's 45 files that I brought from FieldView into the portal so that we have the information available for acreage reports. And so it's a system that we're working with. It works well. And now when I take a look at my agent's portal again, I would have the same thing as seeing my planning ready to go. And so that looks good to me when we take a look at that. So now it comes to a point in time, just what did we bring in? Did we bring anything in that has any value to us or what? And so what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the map booklet. And the way I do that is I click on the, I call it a life server, but it's a gear that we have over here, a tool to use that brings us into our booklet that we created from the information we brought into the system. And so when I look at that map booklet, I have fields in there. You can see I have a difference in plant populations right here and down on the side over here. And the center is all consistent with different types of seed amounts. But we went from 0 to 30,000 in the red up to 32 to 34,000 or more in the center of the pivot. We have extra fields that we need to assign to our unit structure in our system. And fortunately for us, the system will do that for us. We have a lot of different fields to bring in. Remember, we had 45 files we brought in. Does that mean that we actually have 45 fields to look at? No, not necessarily, because one file here contained 2 fields. And so it's not a 45 field thing, it may be more or less depending on the type of system that we're utilizing. We take a look at all the fields. We can review this with our insured if we want to, or send them a copy, say this is what we brought in from the system. Is there anything you see that we need to take a look at? But better than that, we'll import it into our Acreage program so we can take a look at what it looks like when we get to that system there. So once I've done that, then we want to go ahead and bring it into Acreage reporting for us, for us or the agency. Many of you have asked, can I continue after I get the information into the system to create an Acreage report? And the answer is yes, you can. And we allow you to do that. We give you permissions to look at our system and get into place. So when I'm going to take a look at this, I'm going to do an Acreage report based off of the information we brought into the policy. This is my policy. I'm going to create an Acreage report. It says Acreage report request. I'm going to continue from there. And when I click on continue, it's going to say that we have agent contact info so that we as the Precision team can let the agency know that we're working on the information, or it'll notify you that we're making information, that you're working on the information also. And so it's just a way of letting everyone know that the system is being utilized for the insured to submit the information to us. And the request has been submitted for an Acreage report for a Precision farmer. And so what do we do then? We have it requested. When I go back into my agents portal, the status on the policy now is requested. There's one more step that we need to do. We need to click on the green pencil, and we're going to change the requested to in progress. The reason we have this way is we can request an Acreage report and then wait for a couple days in case we need to visit with the insured or if we need to do something differently. But once we get all the information that we want or it's ready to go, we put it in progress so that when we go into Easy Writer Pro, it is agreed between Agents Portal and Easy Writer Pro that we're ready to do an Acreage report. And so my next step from here is to go into Easy Writer Pro. The thing that I'm pointing out there with the green icon there, or the arrow that went to the green icon, until this is ready to process, that will not show. And so I put it in progress. It may be a few minutes or a little longer for this to show up because that icon indicates that it has assigned a unit structure to every field. It has assigned the practice to every field, the share interest to every field. And once that is ready, then that green will show there. And so we're ready to continue on from there. So we're ready to go into Easy Writer Pro. And when I do that, I have a policy set up for our experimental. I do not use a live system in these presentations because the time change out here in central Nebraska is rather slow. But if I want to commit a policy, I start with clicking on the commit button over there. The next thing we want to do is go into mapping and take a look at the mapping system when we do. And in this policy here, we have the fields that all are blank at this point in time because we have not put the information into the system as of yet. And so in order to do that, I need to click on what we call the hamburger menu over here, and it says import fields. So I'm going to import the fields that we have in Agents Portal by clicking on that. And here's where we have the option of making different selections. We know that we've been working with the NAU country precision farming, but if we was bringing it straight from Ag Leader into mapping, which we could, or if we're bringing it in from our NAU country GPS system that we have, we could take a look at it there. But we're going to always, or most every time that you want to do this, look at the NAU country precision farming and then continue. This is one thing that we take a look at very closely when we look at our system. If we have a new insured and we're putting fields in place for the first time, we may want to do all fields will be deleted and replaced with the imported fields from farming. And if we have existing fields that we want to leave in the system, we'd want to make a different choice then. All the existing fields will be retained, and you will need to use editing tools to resolve any overlaps. And I'll talk about overlaps in detail in a bit because it's something that you need to know if you want to go through this process, which some of you have indicated that you would like to. But what we're going to actually do is we're going to import and replace any collisions. And the collisions are the collisions between the fields that come from the planter that may or may not have been planted twice in one location, which I'll explain to you in a little bit. But it's going to do everything the system can do to rectify those collisions or overlaps before it displays in their acreage report. This one here, we're getting so it'll default to automatically resolve any small overlaps so that we can continue on. Now, don't get concerned about this. It's just worth mentioning because if I get into the system and I get to this point here, we have to do some changes in our fields in order for us to continue on. If you decide you want to do this and you get to a point where, oh, I have a little problem here, we have Adam, Tim, and the other guys are ready to help with this. Tyler does a great job of resolving our problems. And so you would just give us a simple notice that we have a problem with a field or two. And now we go back to what we're importing. We're importing the in-process file from Agents Portal that we asked for. We're going to continue. And then when we do that, and I go back and look at my map in detail, I see that I now have crops in the fields. I have information in the fields, and so now I want to assign it to unit structure. So I'll click on the acreage tab over there to put into the acreage report. In a discussion on overlapping, how do we get overlapped fields? This is just an example of the insured has a planner that doesn't recognize when it goes from one planning system into another, and so it doesn't shut off automatically, and that creates us an overlap in that area of the field. Do we know for sure that it's been compensated for in the process of creating the fields, or is it a problem with this in the future when we take a look at overlaps? Something that we need to look at in our mapping program or our fields when we look at it. Has it been resolved for the overlaps? And that question to us most often than not is the insured themselves saying, yes, those are the, or no, we have a little bit of an overlap in acres there. Another thing that creates a problem with an overlap or a collision, I have this, and when I do that, then I plan to field the soybeans. My prescription in my planner says I need to plant this area here and does. Well, guess what? We've planted into the cornfield that we had prior to planting the soybeans. That's called a collision. That's called an overlap. That's something we have to verify with the insured and say, did you intend to overlap into the corn, or is there a reason for that? And the most often we hear is, no, we really didn't plant into the corn, but we need to make sure that we understand we can change that. And when we do that, we go in there and redesign the field based off the same planting information. We still have our seed counts and everything in place when they do that. But that resolved the overlap between those two fields, and so we can continue on. Again, this is not a real often deal, but it does happen to us, especially when we have two different plantings in the same field. But it's nothing that we're concerned with. If you want to do this yourself, just simply give us a call at Precision Farming team in any country, and we'll answer that or help you resolve that. So what we're looking for when we see planters in the field is this type of row structure. And when we first started doing this 5 years ago, we had a lot of collisions. But with the new systems that the farmers are using, the automation that they're providing, This is being minimized more and more each year, and so we're encouraged with that. And what does it show us at harvest time? This one shows us it did no overlapping at all. When he went from one row direction to the other, the planter knew when to stop and start planting when he turned around in the system. So now I'm going to take a look in my information and put it into the acreage report by clicking on that. And when I come over to this side of the program, now I have the unit structure in place for my policy. I have the cornfields, the non-irrigated cornfield, the irrigated, the soybean field. We have the shares of interest down here. And of course, we have the planted acres and plant dates for us in our acreage report when I look at it. When I take a look over here, we take a look at some more unit structure. And this one here is something that we see fairly often. We have a field that the insured planted, but there's no units for it on this policy. Is this an added land that we need to take a look at? Or is this a field that he used to farm and he planted it for his son this time? Or what is the reasoning behind we have a field of corn at 23.6 acres, which would fit in there, but the insured says, no, I just did some custom planning, and so some of my fields are not going to be utilized in my acreage report. In that case, we'll go ahead and click on deleting that from the system, and then we just go on through the policy. If I take a look again, I have another system another chance where we planted these fields for whoever. It doesn't belong to my policy, and so we're going to click on deleting those, which is very easy to do when I do the master delete. And we just keep on going through the policy until we've looked at all the fields and we have all the information that's necessary to finalize the acreage report. One thing I'm showing you down here, it says acres not yet certified, and we leave that checked until we have a signed acreage report in place by the agent insured. When we're doing it in the office, you as an agency would have a signed acreage report laying on your desk from the insured saying, I agree with it, and then we'd say, okay, to proceed when we do that. It saves the policy for us when we take a look at the information. It gives us an acreage summary that we have available through our acreage program, and it's there for us when we want to look at it. It rebuilds the policy, putting the acres in place in our system, brings us into commit button down here below. I commit the policy, and it takes me into the acreage report or the documents so I can print a report. So if I want to print this document, I can say next. I can either add it to the print queue that we have as an agency or as a company. I can print now, I can transfer, I can send it to EasySign. I'm going to choose to print it now. I'm going to print it in PDF. And when I do that, it goes back to this easy mapping schedule of insurance, next, and then finish. But when I finished it, this is what I get, is I get a mapped acreage report with all the information in there. This one says demo because I created it in the demo program. You wouldn't see that on your system, but here are my fields, my plant dates, my acreages, and my liabilities are all there for me. And so I can take this out to the insured and review that with them and say, okay, here's our schedule of insurance. Do you agree with it? And if he does, we can have it signed and brought back into the office. And then when we do that, we have one more step we would need to do. And this is a step that we want to make sure that everybody understands. When we do it in the office, put the information into EasyWriter Pro ourselves as a Precison team, we always send out an email, and the email will have the attached schedule of insurance. We'll send along the mapped heat maps that we have from when we first looked at the information, and we'll send it to the agency saying that the acres are entered as not yet certified because we don't have a signed acreage report in place. And it says, when you're ready, please print the acreage report to be reviewed with the accuracy and signature for the insured. And so when it says please print, we need to go back into the system and say, yes, I went in over it with the insured. I took a look at it. I'll commit on this one here, and we'll go back and remove the acres not yet certified check mark. When I do that, it's going to load up my policy again. I have to go through mapping to get back to where we were. Click on the acreage. Down here is the check mark that we're going to remove. And when I do that, it gives me an information, says clearing the acreage not yet certified box indicates that you have obtained a signed acreage report to correct and confirm the preliminary data. And so we're finalizing the acreage report that we have for the entire system by doing this. Once we do that, we go back to the Acreage summary again. When I click out of it, we have the easy mapping schedule of insurance again. Click on next, and then we're going to print that. And when we do, we'll have what we call a finalized precision farming acreage report. So when we take a look at the entire portion of what we talked about, we want complete records of planning. We want to take a look at any replanting that the insured may have, which can be brought back into us through the uploads from the planner. We want to take a look at anything that we can keep in mind for 3-year reviews so that we have the information in place for 3 years. We can help with reviews by taking the information from portal and giving it to the review team. Works really well for us there. I want to let you know about tips and tricks. The things that I talked about are contained in tips and tricks. We have different places where you can go in there and look at the process of bringing information from another type of company into our portal so that you can view it, or you can take a look at it, or you can do whatever you want to with it. The thing that we want to keep in mind when we're working on the acreage reports is that the measurements for the precision farming technology is equivalent to any measurement service that we have available. It will replace the need for any 578s or maps from FSA. When we put the maps in there with the approval of the insured with the signature, our mapping is verifiable and set and ready to go. We always remind every insured that if in fact something fails with our planning information or our production information, they may want to keep something else in place to help substantiate the structures of the units or whatever they want to. Production, of course, they need bin measurements or grain cart scales or something to keep track of production in the event the information would fail. So talking about failing information, if we get a information from an insured, we put it into our acreage report and take a look at it and say, there's not really anything in here that we can utilize for an acreage report. Can I use his planting or his harvest information for production? And the answer is yes, we can. The insured planted it with precision, but decided not to use the precision planting information for acreage. And we determined the acres from some other source, but it was planted with precision, and so therefore I can utilize the production from the combine as records for my harvest. And vice versa, if my production in the combine fails, I still have my acreage report that was approved for us to use for determining acres. So all together, we've looked at the crop insurance portion of what we're working with from the automated reporting systems. FSA, I have a lot of insureds tell me they go right from our acreage report to FSA. It doesn't satisfy all their fields, of course, but it gives them a foundation on what's planted and where. We have assured them we'll store the data for 3 years in the event of a review. We can utilize that same acreage that we determined for claims for our $200,000 review in 2 years, 3 years, or $500,000 review. The farm record retention is what we're looking for there. Seed distribution, again, that goes back to, gives us the idea of unit structure based off the number of seeds out there. And then, of course, we're looking for quick claim settlements based off, I have my planting records in hand, I have my harvest records in hand, the calibration report, and we can pay the claim. In our supply order system, we have some things that we want to just note to you. Here's a brochure that you can get out of the supply order system that we put together. Actually, 3 simple steps, even though I took over 35 minutes to explain our steps. It's really a simple and quick and easy way to get the acreage from the planter into the acreage report. I plant the fields. I upload the data wirelessly to NAU country if that's what we want to do. And then we review the acreage report to verify the information is correct. Then on the back side of the card, we save time. The process is streamlined from having to sit down and go through each field individually and note that on a piece of paper saying, I planted this corn on a certain date. Separate and irrigated and non-irrigated records are contained within our plant populations. And again, faster claim payments. Accuracy is always something that we're looking for, and nothing is more accurate than the planter unless it fails in what it does. And we needed to have the insured verify with us again that yes, the planter did exactly what we asked it to do. And so that is my acreage report for 2021. Air reductions, I don't have to worry about. My 80-acre field was insured at 83 acres at FSA, but I only planted 80 acres. That means I save 3 acres of premium, and my yields are going to be better because I have 80 acres instead of 83 acres to split my APHs across. And so the accuracy is both time savings and also a reduction in expenses and more income from losses in the event that we should have one. And at the bottom, we're going to allow the insured to say, you're in control. You submit whenever or wherever you want to. You have the personal precision dashboard that we can set up for you. The farmer's dashboard is where they can work through the system. The maps go from our dashboard into EasyWriter Pro. From EasyWriter Pro, you can find them in Field Insights. You can find them in your iPhone through our connections there. And so we're trying to portray that this, even though we went through the process of putting it into our system, will be supplied back to the insured in many different avenues for them to look at when and whenever they want to do so. So questions or comments at this time? Okay, make sure that that you understand that we're available at Precision Farming at any time. If you have any questions or if you have any comments you'd like to share with us about our training or what you'd like to see done differently in our precision farming process, just send us an email or call us at either one of our phone numbers. I have my own phone number and I'll answer you any questions if we can. So on behalf of the NAU Precision Farming team, again, I'd like to thank you for your time and your attendance. And with that, I will close the meeting.
Thanks, Lester.
Absolutely.
Lester?
Yes.
One question came in right at the end. The chat is asking how many farmers are doing this.
We had 104 agencies work with us last year on precision farming, and we had close to 500 insured work with us on precision farming. And this year I look for it to double. We're getting enough phone calls, I can almost say we're going to double our number of policies that we're going to work with on precision farming for 2021. Question there, can the planter data be uploaded? Go back to see if I can find that. uploaded to cover the CLUs if the insured wants to match acre CLUs from FSA. We'll put the planner information in as the planner determines it. It will be in a field if the field is there consistent from FSA and it matches, yes. Or if we need to make a change, it's hard to make the planner say I planted more acres than I actually did to match CLU information. And so it will match CLU information from FSA if in fact the field is accurate. A lot of times FSA considers turnways, waterways, different things as being part of the field, and the planner doesn't plant those areas. So it may or may not match the CLU information exactly. Any other questions? Very good. Again, contact us at FSA, or I'm sorry, at NAU Precision Farming Team anytime that you want to. We're more than happy to work with you in any type of situation that you want us to. And for that, we will say goodbye.